Look closely at a dog, a cat, or a chimpanzee. Their eyes are dark, almost completely solid. Now, look at a human. We have a massive glaring ring of white surrounding our irises. We are the only primates on Earth that look like this. And biology doesn't make mistakes. That white space isn't a cosmetic accident. It was a massive, dangerous evolutionary gamble. If you walk through a forest and encounter a wild animal, you will immediately notice something unsettling. You can see its face, you can see its eyes, but you cannot easily tell exactly what part of you it is looking at. Is it staring at your hands, your throat, the space behind you? This is not an accident. Biologists call it gaze camouflage. For nearly every animal on the planet, the sclera, the outer layer of the eyeball, is heavily pigmented. It matches the color of the iris. It blends into the surrounding fur or skin. In the natural world, information is survival, and attention is the most dangerous information of all. If you are a predator, like a tiger or a wolf, hiding the direction of your gaze is a lethal advantage. It allows you to stalk a herd without revealing which specific animal you have targeted. The prey cannot anticipate your strike because they cannot read your eyes. Your intentions remain invisible right up until the moment your teeth close. And if you are the prey, gaze camouflage is just as critical. If a predator does not know you have spotted them, they might continue creeping closer instead of launching an immediate, desperate sprint. Hiding your gaze gives you a split-second head start. The eyes are weapons. You do not leave weapons exposed. For millions of years, this was the absolute law of the wild. Conceal your attention, conceal your mind, survive. Then came human ancestors. Around 2 million years ago, early humans abandoned the dense, visually complicated forests and moved out onto the open African savanna. The rules of survival changed overnight. We were not the fastest animals in the tall grass. We did not have claws. We did not have venom. We were slow, squishy, and terrifyingly vulnerable. A lone human on the savanna was not a hunter. A lone human was an appetizer. To survive in an environment packed with apex predators, humans had to do something unprecedented. We had to network our brains together. We had to hunt, forage, and defend as a single, hyper-coordinated unit. But coordination requires communication. And on a savanna where saber-toothed cats and ancient hyenas are listening, screaming instructions across the grass is a terrible idea. Noise equals death. Imagine you are hunting a massive herd of antelope 100,000 years ago. You are hiding in the brush. Your hunting partner is 10 feet to your left. A massive predator is sleeping 50 yards to your right. You need to tell your partner exactly which antelope is vulnerable, and you need to do it in total silence. You cannot wave your hands. You cannot snap a twig. If you were a chimpanzee, you would have to turn your entire head to point at the target, but a sudden head movement catches the light. It alerts the prey. It wakes the predator. Now, imagine doing it as a human. You simply dart your eyes to the left, make contact with your partner, and then flick your eyes toward the target. In less than a second, you have transmitted highly specific life-saving geographical data without moving a single muscle in your neck. You can only do this because of the whites of your eyes. Researchers call this the Cooperative Eye Hypothesis. It suggests that humans evolved white sclera specifically to broadcast our gaze to one another. Evolution stripped away our eye camouflage and replaced it with a pair of high-contrast biological billboards. We took our most private internal process, our attention, and permanently painted it on our faces for everyone to see. This was an astronomical risk. By making our eyes highly visible to our friends, we also made them highly visible to our enemies. We gave up the element of surprise, but the gamble paid off. The advantage of silent, instantaneous teamwork outweighed the danger of being easily seen. The mechanics of this are woven into us so deeply that we are born with them. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology tested this by comparing human infants to our closest genetic relatives, the great apes. The experiment was simple. A human researcher would sit across from the subject. In the first test, the researcher kept their eyes facing forward, but turned their head toward the ceiling. The chimpanzees immediately looked up. The human infants also looked up. But then came the second test. The researcher kept their head perfectly still and only moved their eyes to look at the ceiling. The chimpanzees did nothing. They completely ignored the eyes. To a chimp, the head is the pointer. The human infants, some less than a year old, immediately followed the researchers' gaze and looked up at the ceiling. At 12 months old, before they can speak, before they can walk, before they understand what a ceiling even is, human babies already know how to read the whites of another person's eyes. They know that where the dark circle moves against the white background, information follows. This is not a learned behavior. It is hardwired hardware. But silent hunting was only the beginning. Once humans began broadcasting their attention, something else happened, something much more complicated. We started broadcasting our emotions. Think about how much data you can extract from a person's eyes in a fraction of a second. If the white space expands above the iris, you know they are terrified or shocked. If the white space narrows, you know they are suspicious or angry. If their eyes dart side to side rapidly, you know they are anxious. If they look up and to the right, you know they are searching their memory. Human eyes became a real-time polygraph test, and this changed the entire architecture of human society. Because we live in cooperative groups, our survival depends on knowing who to trust. You need to know if the person sharing your fire is going to share their food, or if they are going to steal yours while you sleep. The white sclera made deception incredibly difficult. You cannot easily fake eye movements. The muscles controlling them are tied to ancient subconscious parts of your nervous system. When someone looks you in the eye while speaking, your brain registers it as a signal of honesty. They are willingly exposing their attention to you. When someone constantly breaks eye contact, looks at the door, or stares at your feet, your nervous system triggers an alarm. Modern humans call this being shady. Biology calls it a threat assessment. We became a species that polices each other through mutual observation. The whites of our eyes force us into a contract of shared reality. You cannot secretly plot against the tribe when your eyes are constantly shouting your thoughts to everyone around you. This explains why certain modern environments feel so incredibly unnatural to us. Put on a pair of dark mirrored sunglasses. Instantly you feel a surge of confidence. You feel detached, protected, almost anonymous. But pay attention to how other people react to you. They become slightly uneasy. They stand a little further away. Their conversation becomes a bit more guarded. You have artificially recreated the gaze camouflage of an apex predator. By hiding the whites of your eyes, you are depriving their brains of the vital social data they evolved to rely on. Their nervous system treats you as a potential threat because it cannot verify where your attention is focused. This is exactly why professional poker players wear sunglasses indoors. They are physically blocking the opponent's access to their biological telemetry. It is also why video calls and digital meetings are so uniquely exhausting. On a screen, you are looking at dozens of human faces. Your ancient brain is desperately trying to read the whites of their eyes to gauge their attention and emotion. But the camera angles are slightly off. The eye contact is physically impossible because looking at the screen means looking away from the lens. Your brain spends hours running high-level social processing software, searching for data that isn't there. The exhaustion you feel after a long digital meeting isn't just screen fatigue. It is your evolutionary hardware overheating. For 300,000 years, the human eye was the ultimate tool for survival. It allowed us to hunt in silence. It allowed us to build trust. It allowed us to conquer a world filled with monsters that were stronger, faster, and deadlier than we were. Tomorrow, when you interact with a dog or a cat, look closely at their solid, dark eyes. They are wearing the ancient armor of the wild. Then look in the mirror. You will see a massive, glaring ring of white. You are not just looking at a window to the soul. You are looking at the exact biological technology that allowed your ancestors to survive the dark.